I don't know how I came up with the idea of Lonely Echo. Myself and Kenneth Kelleher started writing down ideas, and from this small concept that I came up with, it turned into something bigger. It kind of evolved upon itself, you know. It got a bit deeper as the story developed, as the script was written. I mean, it was still only a short film, but it had more character to it. I've been influenced by a lot of science fiction film. Post-apocalyptic kind of sci-fi is one of my favorites. I just kind of I wanted my own take on it and create my own kind of post-apocalyptic world. And it wasn't until Kenneth Kelleher came on board that it kind of started to take shape. We figured out all the locations together. We went through shot lists, and he storyboarded the whole thing originally. We sorted out the costume together, and we nailed down all the final pieces. Kenneth was brilliant, like, helping me out. He really kind of gave me the push, or kind of gave me the direction that I needed, because I needed some sort of structure that was going to make the thing happen, rather than just kind of flailing around helplessly. It was just getting it off the ground in the first place seemed to be the troublesome part. I mean, it was the props that cost money, and it was like getting to location and buying drives for storage. That was the only real cost. But I mean, with that said, we got by pretty well. It doesn't look cheap. I think we did a good job of masking how cheap it actually was. It was cheap, but it doesn't look cheap, so at least I hope not. There was months where it was just a couple of paragraphs, and nothing had come of it yet, until we turned it into a proper script, and we got the location, and we got the props, and the cast and the crew and everyone, and then it just took off from there. Angela Shoga was originally supposed to be my production manager.
But a day or two before shooting was to commence, the actress fell out of the role.
My actress kind of called out she pulled out on me on the very last day.
And James approached me as being the only female member on the crew. Would I have any interest in taking part?
And I had nothing I could do, and I needed a woman to fill the boots.
And I said, why not?
And so for the first day of shooting, she was my production manager and kept things rolling.
Production manager really is to keep everything kind of on schedule, and to make sure that we had a really, really tight schedule, so it was only a weekend shoot. So just to make sure that kind of everybody was doing their job properly, and to make sure that we were kind of hitting the kind of targets every day. So when there wasn't anybody to kind of take that role on, like James and Kenneth had kind of extra duties, as they had to be kind of like director and production manager.
But then the production management kind of went down the drain, and it was a bit harder to keep track of everything and keep timing right.
Because I've done a bit of acting before, but nothing kind of as intense or kind of physical, I suppose.
She had to act in it, and she had to do a good bit of action, which she was very good at, and she actually turned out being perfect for the role. It was fantastic with her, and she enjoyed doing it herself as well. She seemed to enjoy acting.
But yeah, once we got started, it was good fun.
Jason O'Mahony he's fantastic. He did everything I needed him to do, which included rolling around in the mud and getting stabbed and falling in a puddle, whatever I wanted him to, whatever I told Jason to do, he was perfectly happy with doing it.
The way I got involved in the script was because James and Kenny wrote this absolutely fantastic script, and there was a character in it called the Old Man. And because I was because I was the oldest guy in the course, they asked me if I wanted to do it, and I read it and I actually loved it. So I said I'd be delighted to, and that was more or less the way I got involved in the film.
But he's fun to work with, and he enjoys the whatever part in the crew he has, and he was perfectly happy to be the gun-toting cowboy that doesn't quite get the good end of the stick.
I kind of loved the way the script was written. There was a beautiful poignancy to it, and it was really short. It was only maybe about I think it was about 3 or 4 pages when I saw it, and it was fantastic. But then they also did a storyboard, and the storyboard was brilliant as well. So between the script and the storyboard, I was like, yeah, I definitely want to be involved with this.
The background to Lonely Echo is it's kind of a post-apocalyptic world, and I suppose it's every man or woman for themselves. So my character's, I suppose, driving ambition was to kind of just survive, like, and kind of get through whatever way she can. Quite a vicious, violent character in Lonely Echo, although I don't think that is, that was just part of the world she was living in, and that was it really.
So I guess my character is he's a bit of a loner. I guess if it was, he's almost like a ranger maybe. He's kind of out on his own through this kind of almost desert type landscape. And he's obviously starving, he's kind of weak, but he's also armed to the teeth. And he sees something that attracts him. He thinks it's food, so he goes to get it, but something happens. So the character, I guess more or less, he's just kind of this wild, loner, old, weak dude who's starving.
I suppose I had read the script before, and I was initially supposed to be production manager, so I know the breakdown of the shots and all that, but I didn't fully realise until I was on set how physical it was going to be, and kind of it was a low budget thing, so it wasn't if I had a stunt double or we had a stunt coordinator to kind of coordinate everything. Bits of it kind of had to be real fights and stuff, and then there was at stages I couldn't even see what I was doing under the goggles. So poor Jason got a kick to the face at one stage, and that was he probably suffered a little more than I did.
I got kicked in the head. I got stabbed in the side. I bust through a door and actually fell right in my noggin. But nothing serious. I was really badly bruised. I mean, I kind of got the crap kicked out of me, so it was kind of physical in that sort of a sense. But I guess maybe it might have been more physical for the other character, because she kind of had to do all the kicking, whereas I was just being kicked. So I was just more kind of flopping around the place, so it wasn't too bad for me.
I suffered a lot of bruises. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it just bruises all over after it. Even after bits that weren't that physical, you'd still get a knock, or you'd still, get a scratch or something. I didn't kind of break anything, or it wasn't too bad after it, I suppose, considering. My
boots were ruined, actually. They got totally covered in mud. I'm not sure if you can see them now, but I actually dried them or washed them off with a power hose, and it took all the nice brown stuff off them, and now they're ruined. They're like this. So this film cost me my boots.
Apart from that, it was the short was shot on location at my dad's farm. So I mean, a free location. Well, it needed to be a free location, but it was an easy setup. Once we got there, we could stay at the house, we could stay on the farm, and we had this location that we could do whatever we wanted to do with.
It was actually a stunning location, but we were kind of hoping for it to be more dry and sparse, but it was actually in the middle, more or less, of a rainstorm. So we all got covered in mud most of the time, which was actually pretty good fun. So, and we were very well looked after up there as well, which made it a whole pile easier. As soon as we finished filming, at lunchtime we'd always get a fantastic feed, and then in the evenings we get a fantastic feed as well, which was really nice. So, but definitely the weather was it was the most difficult aspect of the shoot.
It was a good team, worked well under pressure, and you know there was a good buzz. Like, it was very kind of creative and productive.
I actually really liked, I hadn't done that much acting before, so I actually really liked doing this just because you're in the center of everything and you it's a fantastic opportunity to see what's going on. You get to see like how the camera works, how like the sound works and stuff. So you're kind of in the center of things without that much responsibility other than learning your lines, and there wasn't any lines in this. So there wasn't that much responsibility at all. So I really, really liked being in front of the camera, and I think I'd like to do more of it, yeah.
We're filming on 2 locations. And one of the locations was the Gap of Dunloe.
We shot out in the Gap of Dunloe for the epilogue scene. We just did the one scene, went out for just a 1-day shoot, and it took a couple of hours and just got whatever we needed. It was a great location to end the piece. We started off in Kildare, which is very flat, and then the very last day's shoot was in Kerry, which is a much more beautiful landscape.
Now, I'd advise anybody, whoever comes to Kerry, to go and see the Gap of Dunloe. But on that day in particular, it was freezing, like absolutely Baltic like.
It's a beautiful place, and it was a nice spot. It's a nice spot to finish off in.
And I wasn't wearing the warmest of clothing, so it was although it was probably the least physical part of the whole thing. At stages it was the hardest because it was so cold that like even trying to open stuff or move stuff, it was tough going.
It looked great, and it just had what we wanted as well for the end of our shoot.
I had some tasty crackers.
I actually loved it, the whole thing. It was a really, really friendly shoot, which was good. Everybody was on kind of best of terms all the way through the shoot, which was fantastic. We were fantastically looked after, like we were fed brilliantly up there. The whole thing just went really, really well. So yeah, I liked the whole lot of it. I particularly like the way it's coming together as well in the end, and like the special effects that they're doing look spectacular as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it finished.
Yeah, so post-production has probably been 60 or 70% of the actual production. We shot with post-production in mind, that it was going to be very heavy with special effects, with sky replacement. We were going to do a lot of rotoscoping and adding in all these visual effects, lasers and background templates. And it's a long process because it's hard to get it to look right. To change so much and still make it look realistic, it takes a long time and it takes a lot of effort. Post-production is going on for a long, long time, and it's pretty hefty stuff. Because we took a farm, just at the back of an Irish farm, which I suppose if you see most Irish farms, they look pretty messy to begin with. But so it was a good play to work off of. But to take that kind of rural countryside and turn it into a post-apocalyptic wasteland does take a good bit of work in post.
Slate 10, take 2. Slate 7, take 3. Slate 6, take 1.
29, take 3 on the end.
Slate 30, go. Slate 45, take 1 on the end. Slate 48, take 2 on the end.
I did the noise. 55, take 1.
Slate 42, take 1 on the end. Slate 41, take 2 on the end.
54, take 2.
Slate 20, take 2 on the end.
54, take 1. 55, take 2.
Slate 22, take 2 on the end.